The morning that Ali and I became brother and sister was hot as blazes, and we were huddled under the skimpy shade of an acacia. It was Friday, a holiday. The run had been long and tiring, and we were both dripping with sweat. From Bondere, where we lived, we'd come straight to the Cons, Somali National Olympics Committee Stadium, in Mogadishu, without once stopping. 7 kilometers, making our way through all the side streets, which Ali knew like the back of his hand, under a sun scorching enough to melt stone. Our combined age was 16. We were both 8 years old, born 3 days apart. We couldn't help but be brother and sister. Ali was right. Even if we were from 2 families who weren't even supposed to talk to each other, yet lived in the same house, 2 families who had always shared everything. We were under that acacia to catch our breaths a little and cool down, covered up to our behinds with the powdery white dust that swirls up from the roadbeds at the slightest puff of wind. When all of a sudden, Ali came out with that bit about being his abayo. "Wanna be my abayo?" he asked me, his breath still ragged, hands on his bony narrow hips in the blue shorts that had been worn by all his brothers before ending up on him. "Wanna be my sister?" You know someone all your life, yet there is always one exact moment from which point on, if he is important to you, he will always be a brother or sister. Bonded for life by a word, you remain that way. I looked at him sideways, not letting him know what I was thinking. "Only if you can catch me," I said abruptly, before taking off again, back toward our house. Ali must have given it everything he had, because after a few strides, he managed to grab me by my t-shirt and make me stumble. We ended up on the ground, him on top of me, in the dust that clung everywhere, to the sweat on our skin and to our thin clothing. It was almost lunchtime. There was no one around. I didn't try to squirm free, didn't put up any resistance. It was a game. "Well?" he asked, his breath hot on my face as he suddenly became serious. I didn't even look at him, just squeezed my eyes shut, disgusted. "You have to give me a kiss if you want to be my brother. Those are the rules, you know." Ali stretched out like a lizard and pressed a big wet kiss on my cheek. "Abayo," he said. "Sister." "Abue," I replied. "Brother." We got up and took off again. We were free to run again. At least as far as the house. Our house wasn't even a house in the normal sense of the word. Not like those nice ones with all the comforts. It was small, very small. And 2 families lived in it, mine and Ali's. Around the same courtyard, enclosed by a low earthen wall. Our dwellings faced each other from opposite sides of the yard. We were on the right and had 2 rooms, one for me and my 6 brothers and sisters, and the other for our mother and father. The walls were a mixture of mud and twigs, which hardened in the sun. Between our 2 rooms, as if to separate us from our parents, was the room belonging to the landlords. Omar Sheikh, a big fat man, and a wife even fatter than him. They had no children. They lived near the coast, but every so often they came to spend the night there, and when that happened, the days immediately became much less pleasurable. "Save your jokes and funny stories for the day after tomorrow," my oldest brother Saeed would say whenever he saw them coming, referring to when they would leave again. Ali, however, with his father and 3 brothers, lived in only 1 room, alongside the wall to the left. The best part of the house was the courtyard, a huge enclosure, I mean really huge, with an enormous solitary eucalyptus. The yard was so big that all of our friends wanted to come to our place to play. The ground, like the floor inside the house and everywhere else, was the usual fine white dust that in Mogadishu ends up all over the place.